Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
Here we are at the intersection of Frederick Douglass Boulevard, St. Nicholas Avenue, and 122nd Street in Harlem. We're here today so I can show you this magnificent tribute to an extraordinary woman, Harriet Tubman. You probably know that the efforts of the European settlers in this country were fueled by the power of slavery. It's a dark, lousy part of our history, but not to be forgotten or denied. By the mid-1800s, northern states had freed the slaves, but there was still over 3 million slaves forced to labor in the southern states. Harriet Tubman was a slave. Harriet Tubman escaped slavery in 1849. In order to flee, she had to leave her family behind. But don't you worry. She went back to help them escape. In fact, when this statue was put in place, there was an outcry. Why is Harriet Tubman facing south? Why is she not facing north towards freedom? I'll tell you why. This courageous woman headed back to the south again and again and again to lead her family and hundreds of other slaves to freedom. If you were a slave and you wanted out, you have to remember you were considered to be a possession, a human chattel. And if you did escape, they would send the slave catchers out after you. If they found you, they would torture you before returning you to your owner. If you were lucky, though, you made contact with someone that worked with the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was a secretive system of roads, rivers, tunnels, safe houses, songs, signals, and brave and kind people. Harriet Tubman was one of the greatest conductors of the Underground Railroad. She made it clear the slave catchers would never take her alive. But Tubman risked her life over and over and dared to return to the South because she believed in doing what was just and true, and she was incredibly brave. She said of herself, "I was a conductor on the Underground Railroad for 8 years, and I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the tracks, and I never lost a passenger." Frederick Douglass, one of our great abolitionists, and for whom this boulevard is named, said of Tubman, "The midnight sky and the silent stars have been the witnesses of your devotion to freedom and of your heroism. Excepting John Brown of sacred memory, I know of no one who has willingly encountered more perils and hardships to serve our enslaved people than you have. The skills required for being a successful conductor on the Underground Railroad served Harriet Tubman and this country very well in the Civil War. She was recruited and worked as a valuable spy and scout. She was the first woman to lead an armed assault in the war, part of the Combahee River raid, a raid that freed over 750 slaves. Now that we know who and what this statue celebrates, let's take a look at the work of Allison Starr and see how she portrays Harriet Tubman and Harriet Tubman's story. Let's step to the back. These roots, look at these roots, symbolizing slavery, grasping onto the back of her skirt, trying to hold Harriet Tubman back, but they are being torn away by her determination. If we come and look at her skirt, we see anonymous faces symbolizing all the people she delivered to freedom. Broken chains. And look at the sole of that shoe, worn through by the long march to freedom. Now, if we look down at the base of this sculpture, we see these quilt-like icons that alternately reference important moments in the abolitionist life, of dangerous passage and of celebration of freedom. Tribute to a great American hero. And it's right here in the middle, Black Harlem. Black Harlem was the first big black community in the United States. One final point of distinction. There are hundreds of historical statues in New York City. How many of them do you think portray female historical figures? Well, hey, let's count them. We've got Eleanor Roosevelt, Golda Meir, Gertrude Stein, Joan of Arc, and Harriet Tubman. Yes, Harriet Tubman is the fifth of only 5 sculptures in all 5 boroughs of historic female figures. We have a little work to do on that one. If you haven't been here yourself, come up and see this piece. I can't do it justice. Come up and see this. And it's a public sculpture. You can touch it. It's wonderful. See you again. Bye-bye.